Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for details. Today we are discussing the flagship of the Blancpain 50 Fathoms collection. Blancpain has been making the 50 Fathoms in one iteration or another since 1953, when along with the Rolex Submariner, it established the prototypical features that would come to define the modern era dive watch. But Blancpain, unlike Rolex, makes haute horlogerie. So we have here the 8 jours, or the 8-day flying tourbillon version of the 50 Fathoms. So in rose gold, it's 45 millimeters in diameter, it's 14.9 millimeters thick, it's 50.7 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and it has a 23 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Dimensionally, it's identical to the standard reference 50-15. So if you've ever worn the 45 millimeter 50 Fathoms, you already know how this is going to wear, it's going to fit. It's suitable for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters. My wrist is 16 centimeters circumference, and you can see the lugs are not overhanging the edge of my wrist. You can't go much smaller, but you can go a little bit smaller. The watch is neither thick nor thin. I guess given its water resistance, automatic winding, flying tourbillon, and 8-day power reserve, you have to consider it fairly thin for what it is, as it's really no thicker than a standard 50 Fathoms. The strap has become something of a signature of the model. Sailcloth. Very heavy textile, almost impossible to tear. You can see it's a sort of anthracite, dark gray. It's bolstered to give it some thickness, a folded edge, a monotone stitch, and on the underside, a rubber inlay to avoid that coarse material aggressing against your wrist. It's very, very comfortable. We also have here a twin trigger actuated double deployant clasp. This is a feature that is not standard on the 50 Fathoms, but on the Tourbillon, we're stepping up our game. So we're getting a full clasp so you don't accidentally drop this heavy and expensive dive watch while donning or removing at bedside. And it does have twin triggers. You can see one swing arm doubles as the springs of the mechanism to keep it secure. We have a system whereby the buckle is fixed using screws and bars, and the strap is fixed using screws and bars. Now, Blancpain realized that it's harder to round off a hex screw, so it uses hex screws rather than the more common flathead screws. The advantage of screws and bars is that the system is more secure and more likely to stay put than with a spring bar. And the case band is distinctive. The lugs are broken out separate. This isn't an integrated lug Rolex-style case. This is very much a Blancpain design. And of course, they let you know who made the watch right on the side. The crown is a screw down. It's oversized, Blancpain branded, and knurled. It's a pleasure to use. It has small shear guards. Then we have a bezel that has a wonderfully refined 120 click action. Now, one of the signatures of the 50 Fathoms since the 2003 50th anniversary model has been this cambered sapphire cap atop a fully luminescent bezel. That gives it more scratch resistant, but it also gives it more protection so that you can loom the full bezel without worry about the loom flaking off due to impact. So when you turn the light out, it really is quite spectacular. And of course, as I move the bezel, you can see it's more intuitive to read than a standard dive bezel, which just gives you one luminescent pearl. Here you can easily line up with the minute hand. Now you have a 0 to 60 minute count up timer, easier to view day or night than a chronograph, and I generally prefer dive bezels over chronographs for that reason. The watch is 1,000 feet water resistant, 300 meters, which is standard in the industry, but we all know that 300 meters and 1,000 feet are not equivalent. Everyone does that. Don't hold it against them. Give them credit for giving you that beautiful loom shot and a fully loomed power reserve indicator. You can see 8-day power reserve. You can wind it manual, but it also has a winding rotor. The tourbillon system was designed in the 80s for Blancpain by Vincent Calabrese, co-founder of the AHCI and one of the great living independent watchmakers. He designed a flying tourbillon that has no upper bridge to block your view, so you get to enjoy that 1 minute tourbillon as it beats away at 6 beats per second unobstructed. And you can see that the finishing between the quality of mirror polish and the micro anglage, the screws with black polished heads and chamfered slots in circumference, no expense is spared here. And on the reverse side, you can see caliber 25, which has been with us for a couple of decades, is still a stunning sight. Automatic winding, 5-position adjusted, which is the chronometer standard for adjustment. It also has 29 jewels, and as you can see, number plates. They're not quite number plates, they are name plates that have been black polished and then fixed to this multiply hand-finished rotor using blued screws. Note, on this movement, we have both fire blued and black polished screws. We have engine turning, we have Côte de Genève, we have mirrored anglage everywhere, satination on the wheels. It is a panoply of finishes and a feast for the senses. This is what Blancpain does so well. So while the 50 Fathoms and the Rolex Submariner both have impressive claims to history, one of them also has a pervasive presence in the world of haute horlogerie. Honestly, out of the same town, I would prefer this over a Royal Oak offshore chronograph, tourbillon, because this is more beautifully finished than the Audemars Piguet. This is more functional than just about any Royal Oak or offshore. It gives you everything the standard diver gives you, plus it gives you the haute de gamme and that refinement. And with an 8-day power reserve, you only need to wind it once a week. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.